All right, welcome back. We are here finally. It's been a bit, and I apologize for that, but been very busy. Been exhausted, really, but dealing with a lot of things with the home, obviously. But when you work for a living and you take care of family and all that good stuff, you don't have as much time. So I apologize. I know there are people who can go for hours on end out there, but not I. So I do appreciate your time coming back. It's been a bit, so we're going to finish up Matthew. And what you're going to see tonight will be a little bit closer tonight. It's a today, not a tonight. I apologize. See, they all run together, don't they? But we're going to see how we're doing this, and we're going to do it in a summary. And I'll explain to you a little bit more at the end. But I want to finish up 17 through 28 so we can get done Matthew and move on to the next one. So I do appreciate your patience when doing this. And I hope it's been helpful. I think it's important for people to know it. Sometimes we have to defend ourselves, and people say we shouldn't have to defend ourselves. Well, we do. We always have this ignorant idea of that we never have to point out things or show things. A lot of people don't know. If you question them like, well, did you know your 1611 is not the same? And you're like, well, I guess there's been a couple of changes. And then they'll tell you there was 8,000 changes. You're like, wait, what? You know what I mean? And it gets them thinking, and people say, well, if you're a true born-again Christian, you'll never doubt the Bible. Well, I don't doubt the Bible at all, but I want people to be able to have a conversation and be able to defend yourself and say, hey, listen, yeah, these are the changes. Now what do you got? You know, I think it's kind of important. To me, it's important. Maybe not to others, but I do find it important. All right, let's jump into this because these videos will be shorter. I really believe that. All right, let's pull up on stage. Let's take that down. Let's put that up. All right, here we go. All right, in Matthew chapter 17, we're just going to do each one, the totals, and then we're going to look at the summary at the end. So in Matthew chapter 17, you get 27 verses, 611 words, 92 spellings, 7 capitals, changes, 2. Matthew chapter 18, 35 verses, 876 words in that chapter, 143 spelling supposed errors, 16 capital changes, and 4 changes. That could be a word or a compound or anything like that, which we'll talk about. Verses Matthew chapter 19, again, 719 words, 30 verses, 107 spelling. Matthew 20, you'll be able to pause this later if you want to look at it, but I just want to try to make this video quicker. I want all these videos from now on to be no more than 30 minutes, and I hope to have them 20 minutes less so it gives you a better bite-size information where you can get to. Proper grammar there. Matthew chapter 21, you got a good one here, 1,125 words, 188 spelling, 27 capitals, 838 words in chapter 22, 832 in chapter 23 with 140 spelling, 1,045, 171 words, 994 for 186 spelling, one for words here, 1,423, 258 spelling. Boy, doesn't that look like a lot? And that's what I mean. Elitists and the scholars will say, did you know there was 258 spelling changes or spelling errors? They like the word error. 258 spelling errors. And one would say, wait, they are? And then people say, well, my guy that I follow, my elitist scholar elder told me 258 spelling. Instead of them looking at for themselves, you know, that's not that we should fact check our own elders sometimes because they might be off, and it doesn't make them bad. It just means they might be off. You shouldn't rely on everything they say. They should be guiding you and helping you with questions, but not giving you all the information and not let you learn and teach at the same time. 51 capitals, 268 words, 1,359. Matthew chapter 28, 421 words. All right. So in a grand total of Matthew 17 through 28, you have 515 verses for 11,024 words, 1,875 spelling errors, 210 capitals, 24 changes. So again, on the surface, we do this every time, right? We look at the surface of it and we see 11,024 word changes. And that's, again, what they'll try to sell you. They'll do this every time to you. They're like, oh, did you know? I'm like, in reality, it's true. It's 11,024 words. But the spelling, we get down to that spelling, 1,875 spelling changes. Now imagine that. Let's say you're new, right? You're a young person reading the King James for the first time, and you really believe it with all your heart and what you should. and somebody comes up to me, hey, did you know there's 1,800, or what they will say? Some will just say there's nearly 1,900 spelling errors. See the verbiage they'll use? Or 2,000. You know there's just under 2,000 almost 2,000 spelling errors in just Matthew 17:28. Now it has someone saying, no, I didn't know there's that many errors. You see what I'm saying? It's verbiage. It's all about how they try to sell this. Trying to sell you a car. All right. With their methodology and their way of going about things, it's 17%. They're like, wow, 17%. 17% of 7, let's see, was it 9 chapters? So 17, 10, 8, 11 chapters, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 12 chapters. In those 12 chapters, they tell you, out of 11,000 words, you have 1,000. Well, they won't even tell you the words. They'll just tell you, in those 12 chapters, you have almost 1,900 spelling errors. Or ready? Not to mention all the capitals. Like, wait, they change capitals too? You see what they do? This is the method. This is verbiage. This is the psychology of what they try to do. Don't fall for that. Don't get sucked into that vortex, because it's nonsense. It's just silliness, because they think you're ignorant and that you don't know any better. But as a Berean, search the scriptures. All right, so that gives us 17%. We're talking about that. In reality, there's 900 spelling changes, because if you have, like I said before, you have the word unto, which is a V instead of a U. What do you got, right? So you've got 26 of those. You have 26 spelling errors. If you want to go that route, yes. But really, you only got one word that is misspelled 26 times. That's it. All right, so the first step we look at the letter J. You take that out of circulation, because, again, if you were to remove yourself from this time frame and drop yourself into that time frame, when you see a I in front of Jesus, guess how you pronounce that? Jesus. Because if you've seen my earlier videos, I've briefly talked about this. I still not remember the Italian guy's name, but the letter J did not fully blow up around the world at that point yet. It wasn't to its full fruition, its full potential, or I would want to lack of better phrasing. It wasn't used everywhere yet. So you take those out, you get 874. Now you're down to a 7.9% issue. Second step, you look at the capitalizations. You take out the 210 that have nothing to do with doctrine, nothing to do with anything. You can go from the capital S for synagogue down to a lowercase synagogue. Someone said, well, it changes the whole thing. Tell me how that changes doctrine. Well, capitalization shows importance. You can go that way, but that's not changing doctrine. It's not an error that you're concerned, should worry about. So now you're down 6%. And of course, my favorite part, phonetics. Third step we look at is phonetics. Out of 664 words, you minus 545 of those words, which leaves you 119 left, which means words like meekness has an E at the end, doesn't it? Old has an E at the end, doesn't it? But you can pronounce old, right? Again has an E at the end, but it's silent, correct? Correct. You don't have to worry about things like that. There's a lot of words like that are darkness, another one. So darkness in 1611 would actually have the E in between the right up to the K. So it's that dark. Nobody would pronounce that darkness. They would pronounce it darkness. Even commandment, it looks like to us, it might look like commandment, but it's commandment. So understanding the English language, I think, is important. People will say, I don't need to know all that. Well, that was just, you learned that in school. So I guess you didn't pay attention to regular school. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a superstar out of school myself. So, but all those things are very simple to understand and recognize and take out of circulation. But again, scholars and elites, those who love to put the name doctor in front of their name for everything. I don't trust any man, any theologian who feels the need to put doctor in front of their name. I shouldn't say they're all bad. I'm just saying it's interesting how we will follow. I once watched a guy one time who said basically the same thing. He says, "Oh, that guy's got a doctor in front of his name. He's no doctor and BA and MS." That doesn't make any sense to me. That's stupid. That's just elitist and blah blah blah. But then he follows another guy who he likes, who he'll recommend, who also has doctor in front of their name. Interesting, isn't it? It's an odd thing. I don't know why. So I don't get into that nonsense. If a guy's speaking truth, they're speaking truth. If they ain't, they ain't. It's real simple. But I don't think you need to be a doctor. But some people really harp on it. And they need you to know how smart they are and where they've been, their MS. They need you to know. They have to repeat themselves all the time how much of an expert they are, that they've studied this. And that's a sad situation. But that's usually elitist, So you got 119 left, which leaves you 1%. A 1% issue. So out of those 11,024 words, you have 119 words. Now, so what does that give us? 99% readability, isn't it? So from chapter 17 to 28 in Matthew, you have a 99% chance of reading it. There's no doctrines changed. There's not a big issue. There's nothing that changes the whole stream of things. All of a sudden, everything's been taken away. There's no missing sections like that. So out of those 24 changes we mentioned there, from 17 to 28, 22 of them were compound words. Compound words were kind of popular during that time frame in the Old English and the English world. That's why you see a lot of that. I can't really tell you why. They do it, from my understanding and research of it. It's just very widespread at that time. They separate the strangest words and make them compounds. They would be very close to taking the readable and taking and say readable compound, 2 words. But again, we're fine tuning the English language. We're coming the pinnacle of our English language at that point. The King James is that pinnacle. You got the 2-word changes, then to them. I think that's an error. A compt and account. This has come up in conversation apparently before. The etymology and origins of the word account is just a compt. It's the same word, means the same thing. It's identical. And you have to understand this. It was a compt was fading out, still in use. It was still in use everywhere, but it was fading out. An account was overtaking it. Even though they both existed at the same timeline, one was starting to, leave, and the other one was replacing it. So you have that, transition, I guess you could say, between the 2 words. Now, in the summary of this, so in the summary of the whole book of Matthew in the authorized version 1611, it is 98.96% readable, as I put here, for any English-speaking teenager. So any English-speaking teenager should be able to pick it up. Again, like I mentioned before, I think there's a blank page down here. Yeah, I didn't think I had. So you can take yourself and you can plop yourself. I don't believe in time travel, but if you could plop yourself back down, then you would read those words exactly the way we would read them now, except, of course, a compt. We would say a compt and account. Like showbread, they change it showbread. And they like to go show. Maybe you got to have an accent. I believe in the showbread, but you're changing no doctrines. And I think this is what people get confused about when people come at them and they want to attack the King James Bible. It is the most attacked Bible in the world. And unfortunately, I think there are infiltrators within the King James realm that are also attacking it or casting doubt or making themselves look goofy and ruining for other people who are true men of God who are just trying to promote the King James Bible and talk about the King James Bible. And it's unfortunate that exists, but it's out there, and I've talked about it before, and it's sad to see. I used to call, when I grew up, the people in church were like professional Christians, suit and tie, nice suit and tie with your vest on and you're looking all right. Now, I don't have a problem with a suit and tie. You want to wear a suit and tie, go ahead. Don't matter to me. I got no problem with suit and ties. I don't wear them anymore. Used to wear them for a long time, but I've long since left that behind me. I'm not saying I won't throw on a suit and tie. I'm just saying. But again, I don't want to go off track here because I want to keep this short. a lot of them in the future. Mark coming up, we'll be doing that. Be out in a week or so. I hope to get it out as quickly as possible. With everything going on time wise, I'll get that translated. It's transcribed onto paper and onto another book. I go through a process. I transcribe it to one notebook or legal pad, and then I transcribe it again. Then I upload it. I then re-enter all the information onto a document file. Then I put that document file into a PDF form. So I'm only one dude, So I go as much as I can. I don't pull up the computer and go to Blue Letter Bible or some sort of online thing. I'm not mocking anybody who does. You can do that. I less like to do that because I like to actually open up the King James Bible and paper form. But I do understand when there are times where you might have to pull up online just for the heck of it. But it's not really my style as much. But anyways, so I get that over. So this takes me a little bit longer to go through the process, and even going through that process, I'm able to catch something or a mistake even I made, and I'm able to fix it before it goes to PDF. So it's a lot of work to do. There are a lot of guys like me out in the world. I mean, that work for a living. They go to work all day and they work on this. They got a family to raise and take care of, and so forth. So with that, I am thankful that you take your time. There are a lot of people out there don't have a lot of time to watch a 2-hour video, an hour video, or 3-hour or 4-hour. They don't have a lot of time. So whatever time you've been able to give me, I'm actually grateful, and I'm thankful for that. And I say it all the time. I repeat myself that I'm grateful and thankful because I understand that there's a lot of things a grown man and a grown woman are responsible for. So they don't have a million hours to put into this stuff for someone to be long-winded. And at times, yes, I can be long-winded. So with that, we're almost 17 minutes here. So I want to say thank you again. I will say God bless, and I will see you in the next episode that I put out, or podcast, whatever you want to call it. God bless. I'm going to awkwardly sign out. God bless, and have a beautiful week.